Okay, it'll be recorded. Then
Rajesh Verma something.
right. Participants.
I think we're ready to call the meeting to order, don't you guys?
Yep, I heard Jack now.
Okay. Well, I've got 7:13. Let's try the Pledge of Allegiance here. 7:13. Let's call the Jacksonville Range Association, Inc. Meeting to order with a Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And thanking everyone for participating in-house here at the sanctuary. We have myself and our secretary, Justin, and we have our program person, Cliff Randolph. And I see a number of other people on Zoom, I guess. Anyway, why don't is there any real pressing old or new business? I'm thinking it might do us well to start with the program and then go into the business after the program. Any objection to that, Daniel?
There we go. Hold on.
Let me get farther away from Clint so I don't feedback. Daniel, you hear me now? Hello.
Okay, I do hear you. I was trying to get my mic turned on, figuring out where the button was at again, and turn the volume down. Yeah, that sounds good to get the program going.
Okay. Well,
I don't know of any pressing business that we really need to go over. I don't have a treasury report. We haven't got the treasurer going, or a treasurer as of yet. And yeah, we can go on with the program, and then we can go over the business aspect of the meeting afterwards. That sounds great.
all right, let's do that for a change because we've pretty well monopolized most of the last several meetings with business and not much program. So, Mr. Randolph, you care to pick up he's got a spiral bound notebook there with notes, and he's ready to expound on the subject of private ambulance services in Jacksonville, the history and involvement of them in the community and so on. You have the floor, Mr. Randolph.
Good evening, everybody. Like you said, my name is Clint Randolph. I'm a retired critical care paramedic and nurse. I was involved in the private ambulance industry here in Jacksonville. I started in 1986.
I think you may be muted on your.
You're using the microphone. No, that was already on. You just have to pick that microphone up. Yeah.
Well, I've got a red line through his microphone on the Zoom.
Check.
There you go.
Yeah, and we're still not coming through Zoom. I see your face now, Justin. But I got a red line through the microphone on my picture of you. So I think it's muted on Zoom. There you go. There, I think
All
we're,
right, I think we're ready to go now.
We can certainly hear you, so we may not need to use the.
Okay. Once again, my name is Clint Randolph. I'm a retired nurse and critical care paramedic. I served in the private ambulance industry in Jacksonville since 1986.
okay, now hold on. You're not coming over my Zoom receiving still. Did anybody hear Clint's introduction?
No,
No one is hearing Clint's introduction.
just hear it on
Right.
your mic, Jack. Don't hear it through his microphone.
Correct. So we need to turn on his local microphone on his device. And we're working on it. Justin's giving him a hand.
Does this go through the Zoom too, no?
You may have to press and hold for some menus to pop up that you can't see. Not terribly familiar with it. Well, let's try this then. Daniel, you're hearing my voice okay, is that correct?
That is correct, Jack. I hearing you just fine.
Why don't I just hand him my phone and let him go on with it?
That would probably be a good idea to get it going.
Because we're having trouble finding what needs to be done to get his phone to unmute its microphone.
Yes, sir. If you wouldn't mind, that may be a good idea, Jack.
Oh, I don't mind at all. Well, let's go ahead and go on with this. Let's see. I think, let's see, let me find me. Oh, there's me. So if you get your picture showing up in there.
That'll work.
Yeah.
Am I being heard now?
Yes, I hear you fine now.
Okay. All right. Yeah, my name is Clinton Randolph. I'm a retired nurse and critical care paramedic. I started with the private ambulance industry in Jacksonville in 1986. I'm
38 years ago.
I'm gonna go, yep, I'm gonna go over a little brief history of ambulance services in the Jacksonville area, and then talk to you a little bit about how we help in disasters. The very first ambulance in Jacksonville, and the second city in the South to actually have an ambulance, was in 1910. It was a 50 horsepower ambulance with leather seats and brass accoutrement inside that was touted to be the top end on ambulance care there was. It was bought by a local funeral home who, from then until the 1960s, was who predominantly provided ambulance service. The they started because they already had the hearses, and that to begin with, a lot of the funeral homes just put stretchers in the hearses and put a red light on them, and used a siren and used those as ambulances. The care you received was pretty much nil. They just basically scooped you up, ran to the hospital as fast as they could. Treat them with gas. That's kind of the way it was. In the 1960s, the federal government got involved, and the U.S. Department of Transportation published the in conjunction with the American College of Surgeons, the first EMT manual. I actually have a copy of the first edition of that book. That's when I took my first EMT class in Georgia, but long time ago, 50 years ago. But anyway, in 1967, the Jacksonville Fire Department took over providing emergency ambulance services in Duval County. Actually, what happened was the ambulances here in town, I think there was one unaffiliated private ambulance, and then the rest of them were the funeral homes. They got into a fight with the city over the billing for picking up dead bodies and taking them to the medical examiners. And they got so upset, they took all their ambulances down on Bay Street, turned the lights and sirens on full blast, locked them up, and left. And the fire department immediately went into the ambulance business. To begin with, they used the chief's cars because they were station wagons until they got the first modular ambulance. That's currently located, that ambulance is actually currently located at the Fire Museum, if you ever care to go look at it. Anyway,
I believe that's at Fire Station 1.
not anymore, I don't know. I think it's down there
I
on
think they
the,
relocated a block or two or something.
well,
And it's still in the.
last I knew, I thought it was over there by Channel 7, but maybe not.
They're trying to make a district out of the museums.
Oh, okay, cool.
Not far from the Orlick.
Cool.
site.
Yeah. Anyway, there was one totally private ambulance service that started in 1965, 64, 65. And then in 1981, a second ambulance company, Century, started. And then 3 years later, Liberty Ambulance that I worked for started in 1984. And then, like I said, I came on board in 1986. They had one 24-hour truck and 2 other day trucks. So they had 3 ambulances altogether. When I came on board, we were just starting to get involved with disasters, with helping with disasters. And as part of the First Coast Disaster Council. That started in the late 1960s, early 70s as the Jacksonville Hospital Disaster Council. I understand founded originally by St. Vincent's. The council today involves not just Duval County, but Duval, Nassau, Clay, St. John's, and Baker, I believe. It's like 6 or 7 counties. They meet once a month. I think they're meeting now at the Shands Jacks or UF Health. The purpose is to coordinate basically ESF 8 response in the event of some type of disaster that needs medical help. It was deployed in 2003 and 2004. I was part of the 2004 deployments in ESF 8 as part of the special needs subcommittee. In 2002 or 2003, I think it was 2003, the federal government started a program called NDMS, the National Disaster Medical System. And what that entailed was using military aircraft, predominantly the U.S. Air Force Sky Angels, to which are converted, I think, C-130s, if I remember right, into flying hospitals. I want to say floating hospitals, I hope not, into flying hospitals. Jacksonville was involved in the very first, and I think to this point, the only activation of NDMS when they moved a series of patients from Texas that were, they were evacuated from New Orleans to Texas, and then from Texas to Jacksonville. And the private ambulances were very instrumental, yeah, in performing, their services to move those patients. We are a very vital part of the disaster medical system here in Jacksonville. I actually served in 2000 as the president of the Disaster Council. Up to that point, I had been the secretary for a couple of terms. So that's basically what we do as part of the system. What we do is we'll, like for a plane crash, we would respond to the scene, stage, get assigned patients based on the priority system. Triage. And that's correct. The triage priority triage system. And then we would transport the patients to the local hospitals using a medical system that's right there on the scene.
An incident commander would be in touch with the hospitals to decide who had what kind of beds where.
Correct. They would the hospitals would call in and let them know how many beds they had of each kind. Only problem with that's a lot of times that, if it was bad enough, they obeyed that until everything filled up, and then it was kind of, you took them to where the closest one was at that point. Fortunately, we haven't had a lot of those things occur. We did have a train derailment where we activated in 2000, I think. And we had a number of patients that were transported. That it was a freight. Well, that's about it that I had. Does anybody have any questions for me?
What kind of radios are you using in the current day?
Well,
in the old day?
Currently we operate on 440 megahertz band.
444.
Yeah, UHF. And we also have VHF capabilities. We have the hospital med frequencies for all of the ERs, and we have Med 8. and Med H used as as a simplex medical coordination frequency during a disaster situation.
It's
And it did,
Med 8 is actually a JFRD channel, JFRD radios that's shared out to more or less all the services, I guess.
yeah, we're actually all licensed on the med channels. We have to get licenses from the FCC in order to operate on those frequencies. But the Jacksonville Fire Department coordinates that. That's correct. Anyway, they also have in their mobile command post, they have the ability to cross patch into our frequencies and us into them. We have one frequency that we can patch into that is directly connected to the JFRD dispatcher.
Are those encoded the way that encrypted the way the sheriff's office transmissions now are?
No, because that's all 800 megahertz now.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
Trunking.
even their operation, yes, 800 trunking. No, believe it or not, all the med frequencies are all open frequencies. If you've got the frequency in the PL tone, you can listen to it and talk on it.
Okay.
Although unless you're licensed, you can't talk, but you can listen legally. Yes, you can legally listen to it, and you can't legally talk on it unless you're licensed to do so.
Are they within the ham band or outside of the ham band?
They're outside of the ham band.
They are. What frequency again?
Well, there's a list. There's 8 of them, and they've all got different PL tones for the different emergency rooms.
They're different for every
If anybody wants to that, they're different for every county. If anybody wants a list, I could get a list of
all the frequencies that I passed out occasionally.
Yeah. I mean, all you really need to do is go to radioreference.com and you can see all the frequencies there that they are if you wanted to listen in on them.
Radio frequencies.com.
It gets radioreference.com. Radioreference.com.
Okay.
In case of a crash or in case of something that was a mass casualty event of some kind, about the only thing you could count on listening to would be the mid frequencies, because there's going to be so much cross patching and everything else going on that it would be very difficult to listen to.
Well, tell us about the physical radios in the 60s versus 70s, 80s, 90s nowadays.
Well,
how they've evolved over the years.
Oh yeah, the 60s, the only thing that they were, the only radios, if they had them, that were used were, for the most part, going back to the funeral home to let them know where they were. And there were some cities, I'm sure, that were able to talk to the ambulances if they needed to, but most of the funeral homes were.
How big were those
Were
radios?
I think he's asking, what kind of radios? Were they commercial radios,
Motorola,
former military
RCA,
radios?
AG?
No, they were mainly like Motorola tube type radios.
What happened to the car when you keyed up?
Oh yeah, when I had a truck. I was a volunteer EMT in Camden County. I would, before I changed my alternator, I'd key my mic, and the headlights and all the red lights would quit rotating if you had rotating lights and things like that. They drew so much power. Now, of course, everything's solid state and it's much easier. Back then, them things drew a lot of power. I mean, there were 100-watt radios and they drew a lot of current off those to a 12-volt system.
Right, because you're going direct to that hospital or direct to that, you're not working through a repeater system, right?
No, it was all simplex. And back then back then, they didn't contact the hospital. They would call them on the phone from your house, let them know you were on the way, and they would go. Lights and sirens as fast as they could.
So the radios were just for dispatching.
Yes, if they even had that.
Right. Now, one thing that's interesting to me is a dynamotor. A dynamotor is an electric motor that runs off of 12 volts DC.
It's like a giant magneto, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it's more than that. I mean, it can generate 300 volts, 600 volts, all the different voltages you need for the different tubes in those old radios. And it was very, very, very inefficient
yeah, I've seen,
and noisy, and it filled up the trunk of the car.
yep, I'm trying to learn electronics. I'm watching a guy up in Canada, and he restores these old radios, and they had magnetrons. A lot of them have magnetrons on them originally.
So when did the modern 911 system?
Well, 911 started in the 70s, actually, about the late 70s, and originally it was just you called 911. If you had a 911 system, you called 911. You had to tell them where you were, or it didn't, or they didn't know where you were.
Okay.
E911, enhanced 911, didn't come around till the 80s and 90s.
Right.
Everywhere. In fact, the little county that I grew up in, Camden County, while I was going to college, I worked as a dispatcher for the Kingsland Police Department and did the fire department. And you know, there's no 911. They had to call a 7-digit number.
Right.
And I remember one night I answered the phone, you know, Kingsland Police Department, and all I heard was fire, 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 fire. I had to calm her down to get her to tell me where she was. So, you know, it's come a long way, you know, from just maybe having an oxygen tank, maybe, and a few bandages, to basically now, even the private ambulances are equipped just like exactly like
Their ALS
their
system.
ALS systems, exactly like the fire
Ambulance.
departments are. In fact,
Robert Asaph was a former fireman anyway.
he was my boss.
Right, and a good friend of mine, Todd Buchanan, works with.
Yep.
Already.
Todd's a good guy. He,
Yeah.
good friend of mine until I mean, I haven't talked to him since he left.
Oh, he's retired.
I'm sure.
Like
I know.
one point of interest vaguely is those old radios we're talking about, when they became surplus, they turned into ham repeaters.
They did.
Yeah.
Believe me.
Any other questions?
Yeah, he's retired. I'll talk with you about Todd.
Well, how are we doing on time? 7:41.
Corrected, yes.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to talk to you guys. If you have any other questions for you, you can email me at wb4cdr@gmail.com, and I'll be more than happy to. Or if you want to give me a call, it's a 904-509-2582. I'll be more than happy to talk to you about the EMS system here.
Call sign once again, W4C.
WB4CDR. Yeah, just to let you guys know that are still on, I'm a relatively new ham. I've only been an amateur. I've only been licensed since March of last year, where I got my tech, and then in January, in March, and in April, I got my general, and in January this year, I got my extra. So when you have somebody that says that's too hard, I don't know if I can do it, you tell them a 68-year-old disabled guy did it in 10 months.
Mhm.
If he did it, you can.
Welcome.
I love this hobby.
Well,
Okay, if no one else, has any more questions for Clint, I guess we can revert to our business meeting and, call for the minutes for the last meeting to be read.
well, I just wanted to say thank you for Clint for the presentation. That was very interesting. And congratulations. Big accomplishment there from being a tech all the way up to he said advanced or extra. That's
Extra.
extra. Yeah, I've got my ticket back in the early 90s, I think, and all I got is generals. I would love to get my extras. I just got to get motivated. But yeah, that's a great
Yeah,
accomplishment.
probably
Congratulations and
probably
thank you
would
for
have
the
made it
presentation.
before. Yep, you're welcome. I probably would have made it earlier than that, but I wasn't very motivated for a while myself. I feel your pain.
Well, life happens and you kind of have to live it, making a living and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, we ready for the minutes, Justin?
Okay, so for the minutes from our March 5th meeting, where the meeting was called to order at 7:15.
Hey, Jack,
Jackson
you might want to hand Justin the again.
Yeah.
Yeah. You may want to hand Justin the phone so we can hear him or get closer to him, maybe.
Oh, I was muted. Can you hear me now?
You're not coming over to this one.
Hang on.
I found the way to get mine to unmute, but I can't describe it to you, Justin.
Recording in progress.
That could be feedback between you and I. I'm walking away.
All right, so I'm unmuted now.
You are. I can
Yeah.
hear you. Yes.
All right, beautiful. All right, so starting again, I'm having difficulty with being you, and I'm hearing myself through your speakers. Turn me down in your phone a little bit.
Clear?
Okay, great. The March 5th meeting was called to order at 7:15 by Jackson Driscoll, KB4B. The meeting continued with the reading of the minutes, and they were read and accepted. Daniel Lewis gave a treasurer's report. In attendance were Randall Boyd and Sean Davies. They were new attendees. We had by Zoom Billy Griffin, WA4JPE, Brad, KM4ZT, I think, and Rajesh. We discussed our old business. Billy Griffin gave a report on the Parks Over the Air that we did at Fort Caroline. They made over 4 dozen contacts all over the country. That gave some additional fill on the history of Fort Caroline. I gave a repeater report. Then Jackson listed all of the open positions and described the activities for each one. And their new business, we scheduled a March 9th workday at Nemours Children's Clinic. That actually took place. KF4EOK, myself, hang on.
Present.
I'm sorry.
Lewis.
Lewis was KM. What is Lewis's call sign?
KM4YDT.
Yep, KM4YDT, right, and Bill was there. Didn't Bill attend?
Yes, sir, Bill. I don't remember his call, but
I'll have it in the minutes. Anyway. At that time, we replaced 2 antennas with antennas donated by Daniel KF4EOK, including a tri-band antenna. He also had configured and we installed a different amplifier with a higher output. We then decided that it was suggested by Daniel and then we agreed that we would only use the bridge remote for receive for now in order to be able to properly, number one, get the repeater working at its best, and then we would bring on the other remotes as we deemed, once we made sure that the signal reports were sufficient. Anyway, so it is on the air. It's the voter is only voting the Dames Point Bridge receiver site for right now.
yeah.
We continued the meeting with the desire to double our membership by the end of summer. We talked about scheduling our next board meeting. That discussion was tabled briefly. We talked about field day that happened the 22nd through the 23rd, or 2 happened the 22nd and 23rd. And then Jack made sort of an announcement about the Free Flea and the Ham Fest, which didn't happen because of the storm that's been rescheduled to the 13th of this month here at the church, starting at Hogan Baptist Church, starting at 7 a.m. I believe. We had made the decision we were going to provide hot dogs, and we should still be continuing, if I understand it. We'll just continue that decision and at the meeting on the.
I see no reason to change that.
Brad, who was in attendance, suggested the April Parks Over the Air activity, and we discussed it but did not schedule it yet. It was announced that KB4RS by Jackson did become silent key since the last meeting. And then we closed the meeting, I believe, at 10 minutes after 8.
Okay. Any questions about the minutes? Do I hear a motion to accept the minutes as read?
The only thing I'd like to correct, Justin, was he stated that the voter was only voting the one Dames Point site. We actually took the voters completely out of line. So
That's right.
we're not voting anything. We're just receiving the signal from the Dames Point and retransmitting it. Other than that, that sounds like a good recap of our last month's meeting.
Okay, very good. Let me see if I can get my volume going here a little bit. Daniel, can you hear me?
I can hear you fine.
Okay. If we get feedback, you may need to turn yours down, Justin, on audio.
I'm doing that right now.
Okay, very good. Um, let's see, on our, old business, I guess we have the April 13th, free flea hot dog situation. Shall we call that our April activity, or do you want to think about another monthly activity for April? We didn't have one for March because it fell through for weather.
Well, originally it was gonna be the free flea.
Right,
Since that fell through, we didn't have one.
right.
I would say let's just do the free flea again for the activity for this upcoming month. I hate that we missed it last month, but we tried and we planned, so that's all we can do.
Right.
Yeah, I will be back for our next meeting. I should be getting back the 5th or 6th. And I should be back home Monday if all goes as scheduled and planned with no breakdowns. And so Tuesday I will be there, be able to run the meeting. And from that point forward, I'll be able to be more physically involved with doing stuff with the club and having monthly activities. So we can I will be able to help and hopefully be able to improve that, maybe get really ambitious and have 2 activities a month. Maybe catch up, make up for some that we've missed. So, but yeah, we can do that. And I am hoping to have our new website launched here hopefully this week, but I'm not going to promise. But soon we'll have the new website launched and running, and it will always be a progress ongoing, but it will be launched. And hopefully somebody will see where we can improve on it and we can continue to grow from the new one once we get it launched and everybody sees it. And I guess that would be new business upcoming. And the membership. We talked about doubling our membership this year. If each one of us brings one person into the club, we essentially will double our membership. I brought somebody in last month. He's not a ham. He wants to be, but he went ahead and joined. So he's a member, but I guess a non-voting. And we try to encourage him to start studying and take his test. His name is Scott Adams. He lives out at Atlantic Beach, and he's not in town a lot right now. He's down in Fort Lauderdale. He has a home down there, and gonna spend 2 months down here in the Keys, and I think July and August. So we'll see how long anyway, I'm gonna keep encouraging and pushing him to take his test so he can get more privileges with the club and actually become a ham. But yeah, if each one of us can bring one member into the club, we'll essentially double our membership. And that's what I would like to see us do this year, so we can grow the club and continue to be a functioning club.
I managed to speak with a couple of old former members myself, and it was mostly, we're getting, it was mostly through voicemail, so I didn't really get any specific responses yet. But I think I'll try to continue doing that, see who else I can come up with and speak with. But anyhow.
Yeah, the new website will have an easier interface for taking memberships, seniors. I I knew it, but didn't remember or pay much attention to it. But like if you, for example, Jack, if Linda wanted to become a member, well, she would be a family member, and she can join for half of the membership dues. And if she's a senior, It'd be only $5 for her as a family member living in the same household. Her
Right.
membership dues would only be $5 for the year.
Right, $10 for me as a senior, and then
Yeah.
$5 additional for the become family members, and it's not limited to one.
Yep, nope, as long as it's in a whole household, and you could have 15 hams living in your house. And they get the 50% discount as a family member.
I may not need that. I may not need that much interference.
But yeah, so the new website will have that pay link, so hopefully it will be self-explanatory for somebody wanting to join. I got a little guy holding a sign up and it says, click here if you're a senior family member, and actually, the way our membership's set up, it's prorated throughout the year. April, May, and June is a different membership dues than what it is in January, February, and March. So it anyway, once I launch the new website, it will have underneath the membership and the dues and renewals, it will have all that. Hopefully I'll have it. Hopefully it won't be too complicated. It'll be self-explanatory, where it'll be easy for somebody to just click a button and pay their dues or join. So that was my goal for that membership page. So I don't know, and maybe once I launch it and somebody sees it, if they see a different way to make it less complicated, then yeah, it'd be wonderful. But yeah, I want to get it launched and let everybody see it, and somebody see something where it can be improved. That's what we want to see. I want to be able to improve it if we can. But that's coming here soon, pretty soon.
Sounds good. Justin?
All right, I'm continuing to reach out to the Facebook members. They're not yet full members, and also to the Laurel VE testing results that that Rajesh provides, so that we can encourage them to find a home in the ham radio here with our club.
Very good. Okay. Let me just mention that at one of the meetings, the ARES meeting last week, I guess, Barry was interested in doing another Parks on the Air activation at Jennings State Park down near Middleburg. That might be a good choice for May. So it sounded interesting to me. Do we need to do something about our second quarter board meeting?
We do need to get one scheduled. I will be back in town, so we can have a in-person / Zoom meeting anytime after the 1st of May or the 6th of May, something like that, when I get back into town. So tentatively, we could start thinking, or we can go ahead and plan on and schedule one. My schedule's pretty much open after that point.
Okay, so just to recap our list of openings, we still are looking for a technical committee chairman, a webmaster, a treasurer, activities chairman. Maybe those 4 is about right.
And I think a membership, I forget the name of it, but a membership director or chairperson.
Okay. So we got 4 or 5 openings. So we wanted to see what we can do with, getting those filled. On old business, I don't have anything else. Does anyone else have anything else for old business before we move on to new business?
No, only I did want to ask, my remote link is not working, to the repeater or to my station. Has anybody been using the repeater, the 7.6 machine? And if so, has it been operating and working better?
Well, I hear it IDing it through the night. I cannot hit it from my recliner. I can hit several others, including the one on top of 515 Julia Street for the fire department, or 146,955, I think. And I can hit 146.70. I cannot hit 146.76. I do hear the idea on 1.6
That's your studio.
as well as 7.6. It's no longer distorted like it used to be.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Um,
You could
I see
be
what that
in the
is.
same situation I'm in, Jack. I'm affected more than you are, but you are close enough.
Mhm.
The
That's
HTs
all.
just do not work at my QTH because it just, I'm underneath all those towers there. So maybe that could be affecting your performance also, sitting there where you're at, because you are.
well, as it turns out, I'm not using an HT. I had a car accident February 14th and had to pull everything out of the car for it to go to the body shop for 6 weeks. Got it out yesterday. But anyway, I set up what had been my mobile, the FT 8800RE, and with an antenna at a fairly good spot in my condo up on mag mount on top of the hot water heater that allows me to hit all those other machines. And of course, I'm running, I don't know, 40 or 50 watts, I think, on 2 meters, thereabouts. And I don't really, I'm disappointed that I can't hit 7.6. I can hear the 1.6 idea. I can hear it come through 7.6. And it's almost pegging my meter in terms of receive strength on the antenna I'm using. And I cannot key it up.
That's really strange. Wow. Well, maybe when I get back in town, maybe I can help you out with that. There should be no problem with a mobile rig, even with a mobile antenna on top of a water heater. That should be no problem.
Well,
And-
that's what I figure. And like I say, it's working for a number of other repeaters around town.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll have to figure that out at some point.
And I don't know if you've done anything with those Anytones, but I do have the cables ordered to get the HTs and a mobile program. I haven't programmed them because I just don't know, but lazy, lack of time.
Well, I always replace that word with practically and tied up doing other things.
Yeah. I don't know. You think down here volunteering 24 hours a week, I'd have plenty of time. But,
You need to train up some of those dolphins to help you out.
yeah, I've run out of time. Time I get through volunteering and sleeping all day, I just run out of time to do anything.
Okay, Justin, go ahead.
Can I make a motion that we officially close the meeting and we can continue this anecdotal conversation afterward?
Well, so far, everything we've talked about is pretty much old business. Is there any new business that we need to get into at all? I'm not aware of any.
None I can think of. Well, there is. I have dropped the ball. Let everybody know I have forgotten. It's sitting on the dash of my truck. The 6-meter preamp. Since we started the meeting tonight, made me think about it. I have not checked into getting that thing sent off and repaired. So that is my fault. I should have already done that, and I haven't. I'll make myself a note or put it here on top of my, right here in front of me so I don't forget.
Okay,
I really drive the truck. So yeah, when I got back from Jacksonville, I haven't seen it. But something made me think of it right now. So yeah, I need to, that thing we all approved, get it sent off 2 months ago, yeah, I'll make sure I get that done. But I've forgotten, dropped the ball on it, but I'll put that forefront, so I'll make sure I get that done in the next week or so.
all right. I think that's still old business, so, but it doesn't matter too much. I'm not that picky. I don't know of anything else we need to cover tonight. Does anyone else? Do I hear a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I already made one. It only needs a
Oh,
second.
I probably didn't catch on to that.
Yeah, I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a second, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, well, thanks for everyone for being here. Today is my 36th wedding anniversary to my wife, Linda. She was awakened this morning, or when she woke up, she found 3 vases, each with 12 long stem red roses in them. So,
Congratulations, Jack.
thank you.
And tell Linda that, wow, that's an amazing, she's put up with you for that long.
Indeed. And
Uh,
she unfortunately is working her way up the protocols to probably, I think, head for a number 3 back surgery.
oh no.
Anyway, she's always in pain, except when she's asleep.
And
So.
yeah,
Anyway, thanks for being here, guys and gals, and talk to you later.
yes, sir. Thank you everybody for showing up, and thank Clinton again for the presentation. That was yeah, didn't realize that was using funeral the meat wagons. So
Yeah.
That's
That's probably how they got to be called meat wagons.
probably so. I didn't think about that, but yeah, that's interesting. That's
Yeah. Thank you
again,
once again, Clint.
yeah.
All right, well, I'm gonna start shutting down lights and setting alarm codes and this and that.
All right, thank you everybody, and have a good evening and a safe ride home.
Thank you. Have a
Okay.
great night.
Bye-bye. Let me get my phone to where it's. See if I can get my phone to settle down a smidgen. Here we go. Got way too many apps running.